friends. It's Aaron here, and I'm with Sophie Monpeyssen and Olivier Girard, co-founders of the Ciel Foundation. We just recorded a absolutely lovely podcast episode together, and thanks to you both for taking this additional time to join me in our behind the scenes segment for our ambassador network.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's an honor.
I'm so excited, and there's really like so much to talk about, and I'm inquisitive, and I want to ask. I'm going to ask about the art, but I'm going to wait on that for one moment. I want to ask about your guys' childhood experiences. Is there anything that you recall from your youth that is a source of the inspiration and the knowing, the wisdom, the connection that you bring with such depth to the work that you're doing now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Difficult childhood, very difficult childhood. And the only connection to life I really had at that point was to get connected to spirits, let's say, to keep my inner child really alive and to believe that future was what we're creating. So from a really early childhood, thinking every step on my path is a consequence of what I'm creating.
Wow.
Beautiful.
And you?
Well, you would ask me the question maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I would have told you completely normal childhood. Always was creative, always was attracted by what felt beautiful to me. And I would have stopped there, saying that at one point, around when I was 15 years old, I found the first volume of Carlos Castaneda's books in my parents' library, and was absolutely fascinated, and that really started my spiritual journey. And now I would tell you that I did have not a difficult, but a challenging childhood with a rather toxic environment that fueled a huge wound of injustice, which fueled the constant drive as a child, as a teen, and then as an adult to set things straight compared to the beautiful world that I wish for everyone to experience, and me the first, because that's not the experience that I had in my everyday life, and I've had tremendously beautiful experiences or tremendously sacred experiences of the beautiful within nature that really transformed me, and I want everyone to be able to live those kinds of moments, those really sacred moments where you feel connected and you don't ask any questions about it. You just feel into it, and you get to that really peaceful place. So that's what I can say.
Beautiful. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Wow. I read several of Carlos Castaneda's books and found the way that literature was affecting my mind and my experience was not unlike certain medicine entheogens like psilocybin mushrooms. Or I found myself kind of tripping after a while, and I actually had to take a break from the books for a bit because it was really starting to affect me in such a profound way. I don't know if you can relate to that.
I can, and at the time I couldn't, but now even the way that the whole series doesn't seem to make sense in terms of dates, orders, but it makes sense when you look at it through the lens of integration. The whole start of the series, he's writing, he doesn't understand anything that he's doing, and then at the end of the series, he has to go back in time and revisit all of that with the knowledge that he has at that point. And so, again, not about the tradition, the culture. I even know if at the time I was really fantasizing on meeting my own Don Juan. It's still a tradition, and it's still a culture. The journey is what is really interesting. The letting go that he needs to go through, and then the time it needs to integrate. We're talking years. I mean, it took him like 15 years to get to the point where he started to understand what had happened 15 years prior. So that's the experience I have with it. It's a good example of a spiritual journey.
Amazing. Yeah, and I'm really intrigued by the tradition that you guys are connected to, the spiritual tradition that we were just chatting about, with the connection to the Pygmy people and culture in Uganda and Congo, coming down from the Egyptian mystery schools, as I understand it, which of course have filtered into things like the Rosicrucian tradition and influenced all kinds of folks, including spiritual science giants like Rudolf Steiner, who incidentally also thinks in 7-year cycles as a way to understand the process of being human and of our organizations, noting that Le Ciel is in its 7th year. And with the Gabon spiritual tradition, I'm curious, can you give us a little kind of glimpse into that and what it means that it's connected to the Egyptian traditions?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, to go back to the podcast we had just before, as a tradition we are part of is calling spirituality the science. So everything has a meaning. Everything is about precision, and there's no hazard in life.
No coincidence.
No coincidence. Thank you. You can look at life. It's another way of seeing life. It's seeing the invisible. It's how you learn to see the invisible. And so the Pygmies from Gabon are still holding dearly this tradition of accessing truth with a plant of knowledge called iboga. And they spread that in Gabon. So the Fang community as well is working for the last century, at least, with this sacred medicine. It's a root, and it's really here to ground you to the world we are living in, and to ground you to a sense of integrity and truth.
Yeah, and the process itself is really experiential. You come with you have a personal issue, you have a personal question, you enter the relationship with the medicine plant, and then you're going to find your own answers, and you're going to act on them, and there's no priest that is going to give you the good word. There's no dogma. There's no books that tell you that this is the truth. The truth you find by yourself in a process where you're alone with the plant, and no one is going to help you make sense of it.
I don't know if we are alone.
Yeah,
with
physically, I meant
no other human beings, and it's a sacred journey. So it's really important for us to say it, because it's so easy now to see plant medicine as something you can consume, and for us it's a sacred journey, and it's a call. not everyone is called to one sacred plant. And it's about really feeling our way through something. Usually the call can be very strong. The first time I heard about the plant was at the lowest point of my life. And at that point, the plant revealed itself to me. And I said no, obviously, at the beginning, because I was in fear. And finally decided to go for it. But it's...
Yeah, in both cases, the plant presented itself. It wasn't us hearing about it and then wanting to experience it. So it had an organic way to come into our lives.
And as well, it's so easy to think that plant can be used. It's a resource. And it's not. It's much more than that. And it's carrying the blessing, but as well the weight of the responsibility.
Yeah.
So making sure that we go through this journey with the right people at the right place at the right time, if it's a real call.
With humility.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And we are really retarded as white people. Because, in Gabon, because when we see people in Gabon, they are 2 years old, 3 years old, and they are so advanced.
Yeah.
Our big brothers, our big sisters. It's like they know already the fabric of life, the fabric of reality. And we are here coming with our little problem, little traumas. And in those villages where sometimes they lost all their elders because they've been killed by another tribe, and they are all in peace and harmony still, just because they found the sense through it. They know what they are here for.
Yeah, and the thing is also, I want to make sure that the audience understands that we are from a specific lineage, which is Master Atom's Atom Ribanga. That you can see in the film The 12, that doesn't mean that the spiritual path or the teachings that we have are common to the entire Gabon. There are several different ways in the culture itself. Some are more for healing, some are more for mystical purposes. They have different techniques. So we can't really, talk about the tradition in general.
In its totality.
And in its totality, and even more so that we're Westerners, we come from France, we're not Gabonese, and we don't have the ambition to, represent or spread the knowledge around the plant. It's been a huge part of our journey,
life.
And the lineage that Master Atom has given us the honor to teach us is really mystical. It's really changing the world from within with the associated spiritual technology. I don't know if every other parts of Gabon practice the same. I couldn't say personally. I don't know about you.
Well, speaking of humility and groundedness, not only are you two partners in the work you're doing through the Ciel Foundation, you're also life partners, and that's an interesting complexity, and from my perspective, it's with such grace and beauty you two seem to weave and dance together, and I can't help myself. I have to ask, like, what's that like? Like, what's a day like for you guys? You wake up and there's you have a coffee or a tea or water or whatever and you have so many things you're doing work wise, and you're also romantic life partners.
I can only be, transparent. The mission is the biggest part of our life, really. I mean, we're husband and wife. uh, and we have a good relationship. We love each other from the bottom of our hearts, and we try to, bring all the principles and values into our couple. But our couple doesn't exist a lot within the time frame that we have. The mission is so big that we work most of the time. We usually don't go on holiday. We don't we don't spend our weekends. It's we're very driven, and I mean, I'm absolutely grateful to the universe to have put Sophie on my path, and that she accepted to do a little bit of the road with me. She's taught me a lot, really a lot.
Same here. But yes, it's true that I mean, our life is maybe different than other couples, but every couples drives their life differently. But we directly connected through the mission. It was really obvious. And I think it was exactly what we wanted. We both of us were at the state of, it was not about creating another company. It was not about finding another job. It was, okay, now it's time to
Purpose, yeah.
go and to do what government can do, and to take responsibility for what we want to see in this life to happen. So we went for it. And, it's downhill. It can go up like that. And obviously, it's just about reconnecting to the true values that we are trying to carry every day. Some of them are mainly integrated, but we're not perfect.
Yeah.
And some of them are in a process of integration.
Absolutely. I mean, the relationship is fascinating in the sense that when you understand that most of the time you fall in love with someone who's going to make you grow and trigger you, on those big wounds that you need to address at the soul level. I mean, it's kind of what you're supposed to do in this lifetime as well.
At least it's what we chose.
You do, yeah, as a soul. I mean, we kind of, that's what we believe, that as souls, we kind of choose our challenges, and then we incarnate, and then we don't remember what the challenges are. But
so I miss challenge.
So no, but it's absolutely fascinating because I didn't have that before. I did have other relationships before Sophie, long-lasting relationships. But when you add the spiritual level to it, and those realizations that you have, and it just takes you to another level of an understanding and of principles of life, that you find yourself at the place where you can't really compare yourself to other couples. It's like a bespoke experience somehow, because that's what spirituality brings you. Especially the kind that we live, which is really looking at what's happening behind the scenes. What makes the fabric of reality is the core of our spiritual science. And so the relationship aspect is just absolutely fascinating, super challenging at times, super gratifying at others. Stability, to me, that is not part of life. And so we're having ups and downs like everybody else.
For me, it's stability. We are still alive, alive at every time.
What I meant is everything's vibration.
Yes.
So, everything's peaks and so yeah, we're completely normal that way, except we're looking at everything in a spiritual way. And how does that make us grow, even though it can be painful at times? Or how much did I grow to appreciate that moment that I didn't appreciate 6 months ago? It's all about that.
So beautiful. I love the expression, it's a bespoke experience. I might be borrowing that. That's good. And you two are so beautiful. And I mean that in a heartfelt way. And behind you is also some additional beauty hanging on the walls. This artwork is so compelling. And Sophie, the one directly behind you that has the many colors, is that a digitally affected piece? Wow, that's unbelievable. From here, it's like,
It's just
As a close-up?
we can do a close-up if you want to,
So-
but just for you to know, this piece is called a Pink Flamingo, and it's carrying the values of transmission, elevation, and evolution. And so it has been given to us by the artist, and so it's very, very special. You know, it's all.
It's
I don't know if you can see it.
It's a work on matter itself.
wow, that is incredible.
The oil on canvas.
Yeah. Huh.
To show it from the side, maybe you'll see
From the side,
the volume of it.
it's super. It's
A lot of dimensional relief.
exactly.
Amazing. Yeah, I do some painting myself and do some dimensional relief work with a form of putty or paste that I can get a couple inches off the canvas. That is remarkable. And from this distance, it's like all these swirls. And so that piece seems extraordinarily dynamic.
Yeah, it is. To be true to you, the first time I saw it was on a picture, and I thought, oh, you know, I like color. So I was, oh, it's nice color. But I couldn't see really it. And I remember my first taste of it was at Christie's. I arrived for the opening night, and I was like, oh, I was completely taken by the piece. It was a full world opening up.
Wow. And where is that artist located or based?
I should say the name of the artist, and I should know all the name of all the artists, and I apologize for that.
No problem.
This is Leveline Xavier, and I'm going to send you the full thing because it's super important for you to know where it's based. I apologize for not knowing.
No worries at all. Yeah.
All right, you're the CEO. You don't have to know everything.
No, but I enjoy it, by the way.
No, yeah, we were telling you the incredible stories of all these pieces of art. They all have a spiritual background to them. I mean, one that you cannot see, which is on this side here. This one is from Sidney Regis, who's a free dive apneist. That was part of the very first symposium, and he's a French world champion. And what he does, he goes underwater and holds his breath for like 10 minutes, and then he shoots what passes by. And in this case, it's an hibiscus flower. And all his prints are absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
And all of these pieces have a story that go with it, and that go with them. And that is the magic of it all for us. It's that, you know, if we, like we said, we didn't have any experience in doing that, we let ourselves be guided by whatever came, and at the end of the day, we're ending with pieces that have a humongous significance.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson behind it. You know, you just get the quality. That's how you get the quality. That's how you get the good living, by following those principles. That's what you attract.
Yeah, and it attracts as well the right people. We're talking about the first exhibition we did at Philips. We couldn't have made it without the help of our chairwoman at that time. That was Carla Bamberger. You know, we had no clue how to do an exhibition, and she arrived like a charm and created the full thing. Like it was so easy. Obviously, it was absolutely not. But we always had people like that coming into our life at the perfect time to give us a little help or a tool to go beyond what we could do. So we are so grateful for all these synchronicities and meetings and collaborations.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And at the same time, I think Le Ciel is it's got all sorts of different symbols engraved into its history, you know. So much has been done with so so little money
Yeah.
that first proof of concept that anything you can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's never about the money. It's never about the. It's about the level of sacrifice that you're ready to make before you actually get the benefits. It's the level of giving before the you receive anything. You know, and so you can do. We're operating with 4 people.
Every day and 2 on
And
top.
we're the hard challenges that we had as taught us to we're able to set up an event at 1/10 of the cost that any other team would do it for, because again our only goal at the end of the day is to complete the mission.
Remember the first time we talked about symposium to a fantastic man who was part of in the UN to an NGO, and we were talking about symposium, and he was, oh yes, it's fantastic, but you can't make it if you don't have at least 500,000. There's no point, you can't make it. And when after the event we told him we did everything for less than 200,000, he was like, no, that's not possible. And it's a story of Le Ciel as well. It's through goodwill, good intentions, a lot of work, but not work like, oh, it's difficult. Work, uplifting work as well.
Yes.
And learning a lot through it, techniques about ourselves, our own resilience. It's just creating something that is completely impossible, but it begins to be possible.
And so we rarely stop to look at the achievements. Usually it's because we have to do a deck with someone, because there's no time anyway, and it's as exciting. The road forward is even more exciting than what already happened, which is mind blowing. But really, that's what we want to share. If you, it's not even if you set your mind to it. If you actually align with what is supposed to happen. And in full humility, do what is right to do every step of the way. There's nothing impossible, really, and that's, to me, that's a much more valid message than if you're being so driven on something and you're gonna get it because you're gonna go and grab it with your teeth, and yeah, that's not the vibe at all.
That is tenacity, not determination.
Exactly. So it's a fascinating journey. I mean, and definitely not an easy one, but one. With so much more purpose than my previous lives. I mean, in this lifetime, the previous careers, I mean, it was all passion, and I loved those moments. But the purpose now is just, that's the drive. Life makes sense.
Yep.
Right? You know that, Aaron.
I can relate. Well, it's such a joy to have this time together and to have a podcast discussion together and this behind the scenes segment. And before wrapping up, if there's anything else you'd like to share with our ambassador network in particular, I just want to open the floor to you for that purpose. And again, thank you. It's absolutely wonderful having this conversation and connection today.
What I'd like to share, sometimes we can't see what is just in front of our eyes. And it's something we really learned through the different iteration of the symposium. At the beginning, the first symposium or symposia, we thought that we didn't make any impact. We didn't create what we wanted. And we discovered years later that we planted seeds that grow so much that now they are trees and they are creating beautiful things in the world. And last time we heard about one of them is through Planeteer. At our third symposium, two people from the training program met on the dance floor of La Mola, and they created a fantastic company. And they invited us to create training program for their audience to spread in the world of company world. And it's always amazing to see how two people meeting at one specific time, really out of synchronicity, can create something new and create something new and create something new. And being part of this journey and seeing all the links coming through, it's really seeing magic for real.
Yeah. And once you know, right? Once you integrated the fact that nothing happens by chance, then it's harder to miss an opportunity, right? It makes it easier to actually go for it and see what happens and then be amazed. What I would share is that I'm so excited to live in those times, to see our different communities get stronger and in a really pragmatic way, where we mean business, all of us, we mean business, and we're gonna get that seat at the table very soon. So it's all about unity for me, and I'm glad that we're talking together on how we can bridge all our communities and be able to go from one to another and have reciprocity in the exchanges and because that's how we're going to make it, and it's actually happening. So I'm very excited. I'm proud for this connection that is being made between our two communities, and I can only start to imagine the possibilities. Once that flow is created between us two and many other communities that are in that meta network, that network of network that we're trying to piece together, because that's going to be a game changer. So super happy, super proud, and really excited by the future.
And if I can add one more thing, when we talk about unity, and maybe it's a bit controversial to say that as the last sentence of a full podcast, but unity is as well a masculine and feminine. And sometimes I really have the feeling that there's a separation that is created right now, that you have the sacred feminine and the bad masculine, certain way, or the sacred masculine that should be the same as the sacred feminine. How can we work together? How can we recognize the quality of each other and make sure that we need both? So to keep in mind that if we don't have the masculine and if we don't have the feminine, nothing can happen. The polarity is super important. It's the creation of life. So for unity to happen, to keep open and to listen to the others.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, right? Because that separation happens kind of at all levels with a certain level of confusion. The first level is men against women, and then you know it, and then you get into those consciousness circle, and then it's the feminine against the masculine, or it's even more confusing. It's like you're pointing to a man, but you're saying it's masculine energy, when that man could be expressing feminine energy. Because to us, there's both masculine and feminine in each one of us that we're supposed to unite. And it's not about, gender, of course, and it's not even about, women embodying feminine energy. women embody a kind of feminine energy and they also embody a kind of masculine energy. And for men, it's the same. It's just, different somehow.
Yeah. So finding the unity within as well.
Good point.
Beautiful. Well, here's to the unity, the polarity, the friendship, the love, the joy, the peace. Thank you both so much. Sophie, Olivier, it is a sincere pleasure, joy, and privilege to have this time with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you to your entire team. I know you have a team. Thank you to our team,
Yes.
which we're always happy to thank for their amazing work. And thank you to Why on Earth. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.
The Why on Earth Community Stewardship and Sustainability podcast series is hosted by Aaron William Perry, author, thought leader, and executive consultant. The podcast and video recordings are made possible by the generous support of people like you. To sign up as a daily, weekly, or monthly supporter, please visit whyonearth.org/support. Support packages start at just $1 per month. The podcast series is also sponsored by several corporate and organization sponsors. You can get discounts on their products and services using the code WHYONEARTH, all one word with a Y. These sponsors are listed on the whyonearth.org/support page. If you found this particular podcast episode especially insightful, informative, or inspiring, please pass it on and share it with a friend whom you think will also enjoy it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And thank you for being a part of the Why on Earth community.